Welcome. I am Sarah Drury from sarahdrury.com, and today I am starting the first video in a three-part video series where I'm going to be talking about self-love lessons and things I've learned over the years and why I think self-love and self-acceptance are the key to living a fulfilled life. My hope with this video series is that at least one person could hear some of the stories that I'm going to tell and the lessons that I've learned, and that they could realize that you can create a life that you love if you bet on yourself, give yourself a chance, and learn to really love yourself. So let's dive into story number one. When I was 7 years old, my whole life changed. I actually had a very idyllic childhood. My dad was the minister at our church. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We had, there were two kids. It was me and my brother, my dad and my mom. And we went to church every Wednesday night and every Sunday morning and every Sunday night. And we were very middle class, just, suburban, living the good life, little family. Until one night, there was a knock at the door. And this knock changed everything. It was actually the police. And they were there to arrest my father, and they took him to prison where he stayed for the next 7-ish years. I am not gonna get into why on this video. That is not my story. That is his story, and he's not here to talk about it, so I'm not really gonna get into why. But obviously, that was a really big event in my life that really changed the trajectory of my life, and to this day still affects me and makes me who I am. It really shaped the way that I viewed the world for a really long time, and because I was only 7 years old when this all happened, I didn't know how to process it. I can remember going back to school after it had happened. Remember, I was 7, and I felt so much shame. All of a sudden, I was different from everyone else. Whether or not that was the actual truth, that's how it felt to me inside. I felt like I had always been one way, and I was like everyone, and then this happened, and all of a sudden, I was different. So I believe that on some level, most, if not all of us, have a kind of a core belief that we're not good enough in a lot of ways. And I also believe that we're not born like that. There's always kind of something that happens outside of our control, or just how other people interact with us, this kind of thing that really shapes that and kind of creates that within us. I don't believe that we're born feeling that way. I believe that there's always external things that happen that end up making us feel that way. I think everyone has an experience like that of something that happened, and then they told themselves things about it that whether they are or are not true, it really makes you feel like you're not good enough. So for example, maybe somebody's parents go through a divorce when they're young, and they feel like it was their fault. You hear that kind of thing a lot. So this was kind of that. Like, I don't know that I thought that it was my fault that everything happened, but so in my mind, I wasn't good enough to stay around for. And that shaped how I kind of went into a lot of other interactions throughout the rest of my life. Throughout the rest of my life up till now, I guess I should say. Some other things that helped reinforce that feeling of being different, or just not feeling like anyone else, like all the other people around me, where my brother and I were actually gifted scholarships to a private school And while that is amazing, and we probably got a better education from that, I was shopping in the church closets of some of the friends of mine that I was going to school with. So it was just another reinforcing thing that I was different, I was weird, I was not good enough, I wasn't like everyone else. And that, again, just kind of reinforced that feeling in me. So I continued to feel different and flawed some way for a lot of years after that. Okay, so that is story number one, and that was kind of my early childhood years. And now I want to pull out the lessons that I've learned from that after doing a lot of work and, yes, therapy, but also a lot of internal work on myself. So here are the lessons that I have pulled. Lesson number one: where you start out in life does not predict where you end up. There are tons of examples of people all over the world who have started from the absolute worst circumstances in life, and they have been able to overcome those and become and live whatever life they choose to live. So lesson number one: where you start does not predict where you end up. And it also does not define who you are as a person. Lesson number two: what makes you different actually makes you unique. Just a little reframe there. You might be different. You might be different from everyone else. And the example in my own life, I was different than everyone else. I did not have the same things, the same upbringing. There was a lot of differences between me and everyone around me. But the thing that I want you to take away from that is that it doesn't mean that you're like weird, or maybe it does a little bit, but that's okay. That's actually a really, really good thing, because whatever happened to you in your life gives you a unique perspective on the world and on everything around you that nobody else has. Lesson number three: what you tell yourself about who you are will shape who you become. Oh my goodness. This is maybe the biggest thing that I have shifted in my life that has made a huge difference, and something that you can easily do as well. So how you think about yourself, and therefore what you're telling yourself, that is actually really going to shape who you are as a person. It is not what happened to you. It is what you tell yourself about what happened to you. So I guess the point that I want to make with this is that you actually get to choose what you tell yourself. And that is so freeing. You do not have to tell yourself that you're a weirdo, that you're different, that you're a freak, that you're flawed, that you're all this stuff, which is a lot of the time what we do tell ourselves. But you don't have to say those things to yourself. You actually get to choose. So you can instead choose to say, I am amazing. I have had a crazy life, and here I am to tell about it. I am beautiful. I'm smart. I'm kind. I'm loving. Those things count. So tell yourself that instead of all of the negative stuff that we end up telling ourselves. Cut it out. Don't do it anymore. You get to choose. Okay, so your homework for this video, if you choose to take it on, is to identify for yourself where your not good enough feeling comes from. Like I said, I do not believe that we are born not feeling not good enough. That is something that comes from outside circumstances. It could be your well-meaning parents, it could be a teacher, it could be anybody outside of you. It may not even be a person, it could just be a circumstance that just made you feel that way. And like I said, what you were telling yourself about that situation. So identify where that started for you. And I think there's a lot of power in uncovering our dirty stories that make us feel not good enough. Because I think that once you can identify where they come from, you can actually dig them out at the root and realize that they do not define you, and that most of the time, whatever it is that you're telling yourself about whatever happened, it's not true. And you can start over and you can choose the life that you love. Okay, that is it for video 1. Please be sure to go check out video number 2 and number 3. I appreciate you being here and watching and taking the time. If you want to take your self-love journey even deeper, be sure to come over to SarahDrury.com and make sure you're signed up for my VIP email list. I would love to see you there as well. I would also love to hear from you, so please post a comment down below under this video, and I will respond to every single one of them. I want this to be an open conversation. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in video 2. Never forget that you are worthy of the life of your dreams, and that loving yourself is the key that will unlock it. I'll talk to you soon.